Hello, this is Mrs. Pullen for Algebra 2 on factoring completely. In this video, I'd like to go over example 7 first, and then I would like to go over example 5. So when you're factoring completely, you're actually doing multiple steps. You always start off by looking at the GCF. So when I look at each of these three terms, I notice that 8 can go into all three terms and x can go into all three terms. So I take 16x cubed and divide it by 8x, I get 2x squared. I take negative 40 and divide it by 8x, and I get negative 5x. I take negative 24 and divide it by 8x, and when I do that, I get plus 3. So now I have my GCF, and then I have my other trinomial. With this particular trinomial, I notice that my leading coefficient is not 1, so therefore I cannot do my regular sum product technique. I need to either use trial and error or split the middle. So in this particular case, I'm going to use trial and error. It doesn't matter which one you use. So I'm going to carry down the GCF, and I'm going to set up two parentheses or double bubble. My first two terms are, the only possibilities are 2x and x. For my last term, I notice it's positive 3, and I notice that my middle sign is negative. Therefore, the signs in the parentheses have to be the same. They both have to be the same, and since my middle term is negative, it means that I have to have a negative negative. Remember, a negative times a negative is a positive, and a negative plus a negative guarantees your negative. So what are the possibilities of 3? Either 1 and 3 or 3 and 1. And you're actually going to have to guess. For the sake of the time in this video, I'm going to put down the 1 and 3. I'm going to verify that that's the answer because the product of my inner, my nose, is negative x. The product of my outer is, I just noticed that I made a mistake. Thankfully, I checked. This adds to negative 7x, and I need it to add to negative 5x. So it's not a problem because what you're going to do, since you use an eraser, is you're going to just flip these. So you're going to do 3 and 1. So there's 3 and there's 1. Now we double check. That's negative 3x, and that is negative 2x, and that's negative 5x. So although my intention was to just get it right on the first shot, because I double checked, I realized that I had to do another attempt. But that's how trial and error works. Okay, now I want to go back to, and always rewrite the answer, after you double checked, and box it in. Okay, so I wanted to do number 5. Okay, so I know that we did this in class, but I just wanted to make sure everybody was getting it. There's no GCF, but we know we have a binomial. I know 81 is a perfect square, and I know x to the 8th is. How do I know x to the 8th is? Because if a variable has an even exponent, 2, 4, 6, 8, so forth, we know that it's a perfect square. And to take the square root of it, you're going to just divide the exponent by 2. So this is dots. It meets the conditions, 2 terms, both terms are perfect, and there's a minus in between. The square root of 81 is 9, plus or minus, and then the square root of x to the 8th is x to the 4th. But we actually can keep on going. I can't do dots to this first binomial because although 9 is a perfect square and x to the 4th is a perfect square, there's a plus sign in between. So it's prime, and we just rewrite it. But for the second term, I know that 9 is a perfect square, x to the 4th is a perfect square, and there's a minus in between, so we have dots. The square root of 9 is 3 plus or minus, and take the exponent and divide by 2, and that's where the x squared is. Could you do it again? You always have to look. I can't simplify the first further. I can't simplify the second binomial further. And the third one, even though I have an x squared and a minus, there's no perfect square for 3. So this is my final answer. I hope that these videos are helpful, and I'm looking forward to working with you again on Monday.